1 year ago, the only factor that decided whether I purchased a piece of clothing was the price. The average American is spending close to $1,000 on clothing a year, a 20% increase from just 20 years ago. However, in the US alone, more than 21 billion pounds of textile waste end up in landfills each year. These facts prompt obvious questions. Why are we buying so much clothing? And how is it being produced so rapidly? All of this comes down to one industry that is now being referred to as fast fashion.
Black Friday frenzy, an estimated
more aggressive than ever.
Million
Adobe out overnight with retail numbers so far.
I kind of talk about fast fashion as the proliferation of cheap and not well-made and potentially either ethically or environmentally impactful clothing.
Not only does the fast fashion industry put the lives of millions of underpaid workers at risk every day with unsafe factory conditions, the shortcuts being taken in order to produce clothing as cheaply as possible are proving to be detrimental to our environment.
You're talking about square shoes are popular 1 year, then round shoes the next. The big problem there is you're increasingly using resources more rapidly, constantly, and more frequently. Cotton is grown in a field. It takes a lot of water and resources. It takes a lot of labor. There's machinery that's used to harvest it. And then it has to be transported. It has to be processed. There's all of these steps across the way of every type of product. And we generally call that what's called the product life cycle. And what we're really trying to do is look at how we can save energy, how we can save resources. We have to figure out how to look at the supply chain of every step of every industry.
More than 60% of fabric fibers are now synthetic, which is only creating pollution and filling up our landfills with non-compostable material.
On the back of the tag, of like your t-shirt, usually it'll say percentage of fabric, and organic cotton is really the best way to go. If it's a synthetic fabric, anytime you wash clothing, little tiny microfibers end up going in the wastewater system. It's not filtered out, and then it eventually goes into the streams and the rivers, and then everything goes into the ocean.
The fast fashion industry thrives on the fact that people continue to buy new clothing each season. Secondhand clothing companies such as Goodwill provide consumers with the easiest way to reduce their textile waste by extending the lifeline of an article of clothing.
Fast fashion is basically disposable fashion. It's the cheaper garments that are coming through the malls that you're getting online. They're worn once and the quality's really not good enough to take that garment into years of use. We ensure that all of the textiles that naturally go into landfills do not. Our Goodwill outlet is the last chance for those garments to be sold, and it's sold there for $1.46 a pound. Anything that doesn't sell in the outlet, it's recycled. We recycle everything from heavy plastics, cardboards, textiles, stuffed animals, shoes, everything, you name it. We have a recycler and a buyer for it. And our overall diversion rate from the landfill is 85%. If they didn't come to Goodwill or other agencies that thrift or have thrift shops, they would end up in the trash and in the landfill. So really, you're doing a really good thing for the environment. You're lowering our carbon footprint.
Since learning about the fundamental issues behind the fast fashion industry, it was easy for me to make the decision to no longer purchase new clothing. I quickly realized that I wasn't alone, and that many people among my generation have already started taking large steps towards building a more sustainable wardrobe.
I started thrifting in 8th grade. My friend just kind of showed me, and then from there I just thought it was really fun and really cheap. One thing I do that's really fun is I go to these things called the DFW swap meet. And so a lot of the clothes that I buy, I'll bring them and I can actually sell them or trade them for clothes that suit me better.
I really decided that I liked it because I liked finding unique things that no one else had. So it really kind of transformed my style because I realized how much good it was actually doing for the environment.
While everyone may not have the option to buy their clothing secondhand, living a more sustainable lifestyle can look like anything from small changes to your shopping habits to simply educating yourself and others on the issue.
There are a lot of different ways to discuss sustainability, but I think one of the most kind of clear ways to think about it is, are your actions going to sustain our lives on this planet? There's some fun ways to think about this. One is that it takes up to 20,000 liters of water to make a single pair of jeans. Another is that the average American throws away about 81 pounds of clothing a year. So when you kind of put those two numbers together, that's a lot of waste. You can kind of ask yourself, wait, do I really need this item of clothing? And if not, can I borrow it? Secondly, buy used. Try to find something that is ethically made and and environmentally friendly. Just educate yourself about the brands that you support. More broadly, know that it's not just individual consumers' responsibility to handle this problem. I really think that industry and many different sectors have a responsibility to address this issue.
I feel like in past generations, it's almost like they didn't know any better. And with this new generation coming through, we're tackling more problems because now we know better. If we keep going down the path of filling up our landfill with clothes that are destroying like our environment, it's just a waste and there's no excuse because we know the consequences.
The facts are clear. Our planet isn't able to sustain our current lifestyle of lavish consumerism. We are quite literally drowning it under mountains of our waste. As long as the fast fashion industry exists, the suffering of millions of underpaid workers in our earth will persist. While improvement begins with the decisions being made within the consumer market, true change will not be seen without the radical reformation of the systems that control the way clothing is being produced today.